They're not tears. It's not coffee either this morning. I went with tea and honey. I need something sweet in my life. Good morning, you boring lot. How are you doing today? It's the day after the night before. I didn't have a great evening. It was a little bit mellow in my house, actually. I got told off by my dad yesterday. 40 years old, and I got told off by my dad yesterday. My 76-year-old father got told off because I dropped the C-bomb in the middle of the living room of my brother's house. It wasn't even after Man City scored, it was after Arsenal scored. Oh, boys and girls, what a shambles. I have to be completely honest, though. If you're here looking for a meltdown, you're not going to get one. You're not going to get one. And that's not because I'm in denial. I am very aware of what the likely outcome is here. But I have to be completely honest. I was more upset after the Wolves game than I was after this game. Hello, Brian. How are you doing, my friend? What is your team, by the way, Brian? Is it Chelsea? That's just my objective. That's just kind of my guess, really, based on the relegation world champs or whatever. But it'll be interesting to know what your team is. But I'm going to start talking about the game anyway, and we'll take it from there. And then I'll jump into the chat after I've sort of said some bits and pieces. It is Chelsea. Okay, cool. I did think it might be Chelsea. All right. Well, maybe we can jump in on Chelsea if you've got some things you want to share as well later on. Look, I have to be honest. I thought it was the best game I've seen Arsenal play since maybe late January. I thought it was. Do you know what it was actually? It reminded me of an old school 90s slobber knocker. If JR was here, it's a slobber knocker. That's kind of what I felt like when I was watching the game yesterday. Despite the loss, I really enjoyed the game, right? It had, it was good attacking football. Arsenal adapted their style of play and they played the way that we've been asking them to play basically all season, right? So we saw a much better approach to the game from Arsenal. There were some suspicious decisions in there or some questionable decisions in there. There was an old-fashioned kind of fight going on. Like, I loved it. Like, it gave me 90s Arsenal United vibes. So from that perspective, I really enjoyed the game. It gave me a little bit of a nostalgic throwback. But we lost, and it was a tough loss. But like I said, I felt worse after the Wolves draw. I felt worse after the Brentford draw, the Nottingham Forest draw, than I did this loss. If Arsenal are out of the title race, yesterday was not the reason they were out of the title race. I thought they were good for their loss yesterday. They were out of the title race, or they're not in the title race any longer, or the title race is blown wide open, depending on how you look at it, because of the draw at Forest, because of the draw with Wolves, because of the draw with Brentford. And so you have to say that Man City are favourites, and you have to say that Man City will probably go on and win the league. And I can say that objectively. I also think there are still games to play, and that anything could happen. But you have to say that Man City are probably going to win the league from this position, and that's hard. And it could mean that Arteta loses his job come July. And that's what I've been that's what I've been saying basically since the end of February. If he doesn't get the championship over the line, then he should be fired, or at least there should be some sort of review going on. But I have to say I don't see it happening. I don't see him being fired. The only way I see him not being the manager of Arsenal next year is if he walks. That's just my opinion, though. Let me talk about the game in a little bit more detail. The lineup, when the lineup came out, I was actually quite pleased, not just because of the obvious ones, but because I like, a lot of Arsenal fans have been calling for Eze to go over to the left, right? Not me personally, but a lot of Arsenal fans, I think, would have looked at that and gone, thank God he's playing Eze on the left. And that's fair, I think, because Martinelli and Trossard have not been in form. And it's something he probably would have tried earlier had Odegaard been fit. Right, so the lineup was Raya, Mosquera, Saliba, Gabriel, Hincapié, Zubimendi, Rice, Odegaard, Madueke, Havertz, and Eze. What I liked about the game from a structural, or what I liked about Arsenal's approach from a kind of a structural setup or a technical setup, or just the tactics in general, was that I quite liked that. I don't like Eze. Let me just make it very clear. I'll lay my stall out from the set. I do not like Eze as a left winger. That is not where I want him to be on the pitch. I get why he was played there yesterday, because Arteta's lost faith in the ability of Trossard and Martinelli, or their form isn't good enough, right? But I didn't want to see Eze on the left, right? I like seeing Eze in the middle of the pitch. However, the tactics for that was that Hincapié was on the overlap, and that meant Eze came in, and you were operating with almost two 10s in Eze and Odegaard, both doing different jobs. And then you had Zubimendi and Rice in the cleanup. And I have to say, apart from Mosquera and Madueke, who I think, if Saka is back at some point and Timber makes a return, that would be a decent starting 11 for me for the rest of the season. I could cope with that starting 11 for the rest of the season, I think. So if you had Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, and Hincapié, Zubimendi and Rice, Odegaard, Saka, Havertz, and Eze, and you could interchange Hincapié with Calafiori. I don't mind, because they could both do the overlap thing, right? I would be happy with that midfield for the rest with that setup for the rest of the season. And I think the way that Arsenal approached the game lends to that. So I think that there is I think positives to take from the way that Arsenal approached the game. Because if they play like that in the other games for the rest of the season, then I'll be relatively happy. Let me just jump in the chat before I talk about this. The match at City shouldn't have mattered if Arsenal had done their job in previous matches. This is exactly what I was talking about, right? So Brentford, Wolves, Nottingham Forest, those games in particular, then it wouldn't have mattered at all. This game is not the reason that Arsenal don't go on to win the league, right? It's the other games. Hello, Darkness, my old friend. Yes. Which version though? There's two versions of that, and there's at least two, and I think it's probably the disturbed version today for me. It's very sad, but also somewhat really beautiful as well. Here we are again. Good morning and happy Monday. Yeah, we are here again. I have to say I'm in better spirits than I was after Bournemouth, and you can jump on me for that and see what your thoughts are. But I do feel better than I thought I was going to, if I'm being completely honest. And like I said, I would take that starting 11 for the rest of the season. I thought the approach to the game was much better. It was much more direct. And I thought that, and like I said before, I think it's the best I've seen Arsenal play since at least January. Right, it was one of their best performances this year, in this calendar year. Anyway, let me talk quickly about the goals. Both City's goals were good. Both of them were good goals. I thought in the first goal, he just danced around us, didn't he? I think whoever it was in the initial part didn't want to fail him as Shirky got into the box. Didn't want to fail him. Didn't want to touch him, and he kind of just balleted his way through. And it was a lovely finish. And for the second goal, I think Martinelli loses the ball up the top. And then I do think it was questionable. I think in other games it could have been given as a foul. I'm not dying on that sword, because it was it's the type of football that I was watching in the 90s. So I don't really care whether it was given as a foul or not. But in other games, you could have seen it as a foul, and it was a lovely finish. And Havertz's goal, I think, was very good as well. He high pressed, put the goalkeeper under pressure, and got the reward that he deserved for it. In my opinion, from a tactical perspective, I think it was a really good game by Arsenal, but they were beaten by the better team on the day. Let's have a quick look at what Goon is saying, because he's coming for me already. You feel like this because deep down you expected it? No, I predicted a 1-0 win. I thought we were going to do it. I thought we were going to go there and win. And actually, I think tactically we could have beaten them yesterday. And you can fight me on the beaches for it if you like, but that's what I think. So had worked through Dabda. Is that a conversation we've had previously? Because I can't. Oh wait, is that the 5 stages of grief or something? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Denial, something. Maybe that's what that is. Should Djokovic have had more minutes? Right. Yes, I was going to talk about that. So the players that stood out to me, actually, I thought Havertz was one of the best players on the pitch for Arsenal yesterday. However, he was dead after 70 minutes, and he probably should have been taken off earlier. And Gyökeres should have come on, and I would have left Eze on the pitch longer, I think, actually. So they are the two things that really stood out to me. You know, I think let's not take it for granted. Arsenal hit the post twice yesterday. Arsenal were in the game. They lost, but they were in the game. They weren't bystanders. They weren't observers, right? They weren't passive. They were active in this game. They were an active unit, and they were good for their game, right? You don't hit the post twice and create that kind of chaos without doing something correctly. So I thought Havertz and Eze were good. I think Eze was unfortunate not to have a goal. I think Odegaard had a good game. And I know that people are going to come for me for that, but I don't care. I think he had a better game than Rice as well. I think Rice went a little bit missing yesterday, and actually Rice was would have been for me one of the players that I would have made way with. I just think that I don't know. You could argue that he's just exhausted, but I do think he went a little bit missing yesterday, and I think Odegaard had a better game than he did. So Havertz and Eze for me, I think were the standout Arsenal players. I think Odegaard just behind them, and I think it was a shame because I think Rice went a little bit missing. Good. So it's nice that Brian's getting some love in the chat. Gunnar Rican, I'm good. How are you? All right, you guys cuddle it out. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. This manager is Donetski. Okay, well, like I said, I've been quite consistent in what I think should happen at the end of the season, so I don't want to just repeat myself. But I do think that tactically he got it right yesterday. I do. I think he got it right yesterday, and we were unfortunate not to get more from the game. That's how I feel. I'm not trying to cope. I'm not trying to do any kind of self-delusion. I had a really good conversation with Darkside this morning via text because he's not in the country. And actually, you know, if anything, and Darkside is a good person, is a good person to have these conversations with because he'll pull out any strand of opportunity on you. And my argument held up well. So I feel pretty good that I made a good case. And so that's why I feel so good about it. It was a horrible decision. I'm not happy. I don't think we can win. I think it's really unlikely we'll win the league from this position. And I think there will have to be, I think Arteta will have to be accountable for it. I don't see a world where the board will sack him. The only way I can see him not being at Arsenal next season is if he walks. But this performance in isolation, I don't think you can be too angry about. I think you need to be looking at the likes of Bournemouth, Brentford, Wolves, and Nottingham Forest as reasons why Arsenal aren't going to get over the line. But that's just me. Brian, I'm good. Just back at work, getting bantered out of my socks. Listen, mate, I've muted all of my group chats. I'm not going to share it on here. I sent it to Darkside, but someone sent me in one of my group chats, I sent a picture last week of me drinking a bottle of wine after Chelsea conceded their third goal. And someone changed it to a bottle of water in the Man City kit. It's fuming, mate. I'm considering leaving the group chat over it, actually, because I'm just that angry about that. If anything, I'm more angry about being put in a Man City top. Oh, God, it's so bad, guys. That's like the worst banter you could do to me is put me in another kit. And it is a really convincing picture. So, yeah, that was pretty bad, man. I can't lie. But let's talk about some of the maybe more controversial moments in the game. And just to lay it out before I start it, I don't think that they're massive, and in the 90s it would have been quite normal, right? But I do think that for example, Kushinov could have been sent off. He was the last man. He intercepted Havertz from behind. Havertz fell over rightly because he felt contact, and I think that Kushinov got away with that one. And if it happens in the middle of the pitch, that's a foul. So I don't see how it can be different if it's Kushinov and Havertz as the last man. For me, I think that in another situation, middle of the park, it would have been called a foul. And in another game, it would have been a red card. I think that's fair, and I think it's objective, because I think it's the same thing that would happen to an Arsenal player, and I would expect the same thing to happen to an Arsenal player, by the way. But I do think that that was a questionable decision. You could also question whether Haaland's goal should have stood. If you look at some of the replays of the Haaland goal, he was manhandling Gabriel, right? Like, we've seen those given as fouls. So I think that's fair and objective as well, if I'm being honest. And then the other one is, I think Gabriel could have been sent off too. So, you know, it's not like I'm just playing for Man City. I'm not just playing for Arsenal points here. I think Gabriel could well have been sent off yesterday, because as much as their heads touched, he definitely lent into it. And I think actually the only reason he probably didn't get sent off is because the ref booked him. And once he gets a yellow, VAR can't get involved. So, you know, I think that actually the ref probably did Gabriel a favour, because violent conduct would have been 3-game ban, and then well, you know, that's that, isn't it, really? So you know, I think that there's two big decisions that could have gone Arsenal's way yesterday, and I think there's one big decision that should have gone Man City's way yesterday. What do you guys think? Have I got my rose tinted glasses on? Like, I think they're quite fair in terms of like controversial moments. I'm grateful that he didn't get sent off, but you know, in the same way, I think Arsenal could have been playing 10 men. You know, so yeah. Hang on, that's the wrong one. So 25 minutes, I thought he was spot on. But when we were chasing the game, we reverted to type. That might not be on him in this game, but it is his fault overall. Do you know, I think there might be a point there. I don't think it was 25 minutes, though. I don't think we reverted to type that quickly. I think there was much more in the game, and I think you saw that even in the second half, where Arsenal was still competing and pushing for the goal. Like, I don't think it was as, you know, sort of semicircle of death as you see it. But I suppose, but you know, I didn't ever watch the game and thought, why is he doing that? Like, I didn't feel that when I watched the game, and there were probably moments where I've gone, come on, you passing there, like. But I don't ever feel like I was watching like what we were doing against Sporting Lisbon. Sporting CP, like I thought we were watching. They were such different tactically set up games. Like, I think Arsenal were way better than the Sporting game, right? And even when we were chasing the game, I thought we were still creating. The substitutions he made, by Eze, I thought were attack-minded. He had to take off Mosquera because Mosquera was yellow-carded. He brought on Martinelli. I get it, because they're trying to play. He's looking for that break goal, and he needs that kind of speed. Trossard nearly set up a winner. And, you know, I would have liked to have seen, you know, either one of those could have been a Dalman, but if I was choosing one to come on over the other, I probably would have not brought on Trossard, and I probably would have brought on Dalman. Dalman is capable of the same balls into the box as Trossard is, and you know, on another day, it gets on Havertz's head and it goes past the goalkeeper. You know, there's a rumor going around. Arteta has already signed a new contract. Do you think that's true? I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility. We know that the board love Arteta, and you know, Saka signed his contract like back in January. They just didn't announce it straight away. So it wouldn't surprise me if he had. I don't think it's good business if he has, personally, right now. And the reason why I say that is the reason I've been maintaining basically since February. If he doesn't win the league this year, I think it's a sackable offence. And even if he does win the league this year, I wouldn't be offering a new contract unless the style of football drastically improves. But does it surprise me? No. And I don't think it's good. I think it's premature business. But that's just my opinion. And like I've said about the, I've got my notes on it somewhere. Maybe it's a little bit later on in this book, but the ownership are known for financial success and not emotional engagement. Like, that's what our ownership are known for, and it wouldn't surprise me if you sign a new contract. Big up, mate. Hope you are well. Do you know what, Chris? I appreciate you being here. Thank you, because you always make an effort. Thank you. I'm better than I thought I was going to be. I'm better than I thought I was going to be, because I think the performance was better. Gunnar Rican will tell you it's because deep down I knew what the outcome to this game was going to be. I'll let you decide. Gunnar Rican, you're done with this manager, but we knew that anyway, right? Like, there's nothing that happens, even if Arsenal win the league, that doesn't change anything, right? So I think that in this context, I'm just trying to look at the game in isolation, right? I don't think Arteta did a bad job yesterday, and I actually think I actually think he coached a good game. I think he coached a good game plan in the Stay Humble derby, and it was. I titled my notes today as humbled, but I don't actually think we were humbled either. I just think we were beaten. But you're right, Chris. We did have our chances. We had some good chances as well. Hit the post twice. Havertz had an opportunity. I think Mosquera had an opportunity as well. Like, there were opportunities to win the game. Martin Odegaard is not a leader. He looks busy and ducks out of challenges. When that's your captain, you will never win. Right? No, I think I can agree on that. I don't think he's the captain. I absolutely don't think he's the captain. But Declan Rice was on the pitch yesterday, and he went missing too. And a lot of people would choose Rice as the next captain. And I think Rice actually was not even in the. I would say that he was. If I was doing an 11-1, and I never do 11-1s, right? But if I was doing an 11-1, Rice would be 11 or 10. I do not think he had a good game at all yesterday. So he was missing as well. But I don't think Odegaard went missing yesterday. All right, I don't think he went missing, but he did duck out of a challenge in the first half that really pissed me off. Like, you can't be doing that. And I get it. There might be that element of, I don't want my knee to go again. But this is like this has been billed as a Premier League title decider. Like, don't duck out, So I will see you. I see you there. I see you there, Stan probably wants to keep Arteta. The others probably don't. Do you reckon? I mean, I reckon Berta might feel that way. I'm not sure about, is it Josh? I'm not sure about Josh. I think Josh is probably quite high up on Arteta. But if he starts to spend more time with Berta, you know what Berta's like. And we've seen what Berta has done at Atletico with Simeone. So I wouldn't be surprised if Berta was of that opinion. I'm not sure if Josh is, though. I'm just not sure. But he may well be. Let's have a look. I think taking off Eze and leaving on Odegaard was a mistake. I wouldn't have taken off either of them. I would have taken off Havertz and brought on Gyökeres. I would have left both of them on the pitch because I think they were both doing good things. But if you're looking for Odegaard to be like Eze, you're never going to see that. And if you're looking for Eze to do what Odegaard does, you're never going to see that either. And I think they both do important jobs, which is why I think, especially yesterday, so I'm basing this on yesterday, this is why I think he went with Eze on the left, but Eze wasn't really playing left. He was moving in as soon as Hincapié stepped up. So, we was almost playing with 2 10s and then an 8 and a 6. And I like that. I think we were flooding the middle of the pitch, and I think that Arsenal need to do more of that. And Arsenal haven't been doing that for, 2 months? And I had a really good debate with someone, one of my friends. He's a Man United fan. He'd actually be really good at this type of thing. I had a conversation with him on Saturday night watching the Man United game, and I said to him, like, he said to me, "You don't do enough in the midfield. You haven't been doing enough in the midfield for ages." And I said, "Okay, answer these questions to me and be completely honest, right? Do you think Martinelli is good?" His answer was no. Do you think Trossard is good? No. Do you think Madueke is good? No. Do you think Gyökeres is good at doing stuff on the ball? No, right? I feel for Gyökeres because I think he's got more than he's being given credit for, right? And I said, that's the reason why the ball's in defence. Our best players are in the defensive part of the pitch. So that's why we're passing the ball around there, because we can't trust the people up the pitch with the ball. Yesterday, you saw something different, right? Because you saw Eze on the pitch, you saw Odegaard on the pitch, you saw Havertz on the pitch, and they can be trusted more with the ball, and that's why you saw the ball more in the other half. And I know that can also be something that can be picked apart, but that is my honest opinion on that, right? I don't think it was perfect. It nearly kept us in the game, and we could have perhaps done more on a different day. But I think that's a fair analysis of the team. Right, there are players that we trust with the ball and the players we don't trust with the ball, right? And you can talk about the personnel that we brought in. I think that's also a fair discussion. But in that isolated moment, I think Arsenal did a great job yesterday. I actually think this defeat may be more acceptable if you'd beaten Bournemouth. Yes, I'd agree with that. But I also think it would be more acceptable if we'd beaten Wolves and not drawn with them when we were in front, and beaten Brentford when not drawn with them when we were in front. I can't remember if we were up against Nottingham Forest. I think we may have sneaked a draw in that game. I don't think we were ever leading in that game, but I can't remember. Who knows what happened in the remaining games of the season? I think City win it now, as I've seen City's story before around this time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I mean, City are excellent at this time of the year, and Arsenal have a history of not being very good in April. So, it kind of tells itself, doesn't it? Stan only cares about the Champions League money. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me anyway. Either it's a business, isn't it? I think Josh is the one that's emotionally invested. I think Stan is treating it purely as a business, whereas I think Josh is a little bit more invested than that. Rice is being asked to be an 8. That's not his game. He's a destroyer at the 6. Zubi was useless and his legs are gone. I would personally be playing Rice in the 6 as well, and I think Zubimendi would be better in the 8. But I've also, when I've done my ideal Arsenal 11, I've gone with Rice in the 6, Odegaard in the 8, Eze in the 10, and then whoever you want on the wing, because it doesn't matter this season. In an ideal world, we'll sign someone like Kvaratskhelia, but we're not going to sign him. We're going to end up with Ndai or someone like that, and that would still be better than what we've got on the left wing, by the way. Our manager is fitting square pegs in round holes. I only feel like I would definitely be playing Rice in the 6. And I liked what Eze's transition was yesterday, but I don't think it's a long-term solution. I wouldn't be playing Eze on left wing forever because I don't think it's sustainable, because I don't think it's his position. I think he's doing that for now. But he wasn't bad at coming in from the left, but you can't expect him to be a left hugger either, can you? And who's up here? So I've done that one. And then Chris is in. Eze and Gyökeres are quality players. They are just not being played to strengths, which is coaching problem. Yeah, no, it is a coaching problem, or is it at the very least a tactics problem? So I do think we saw better from Eze yesterday. And like I said, I probably would have taken off Havertz after 70. I thought Havertz was having a really good game, but you could tell he was done, man. He was knackered. He'd run so much in that game. And, it's the reason we got our goal, because he was willing to do that running. And I would have put Gyökeres on, and I would have kept Eze and Odegaard on the pitch. That's what I would have done there. Is that meant to be Trossard, or is it meant to be an infinity? Is that what that's meant to be? I'm not sure what that's meant to be, Brian. I apologise. So yeah, I mean, look, they're my overall thoughts. They're my overall thoughts on the Arsenal game. And, it's not... Coming home last night was rough. I was at my brother's house watching the game with my dad. The kids were there. My sister was there with her partner, and he was watching the game with us. He's an Arsenal fan too. And you just walk home and you feel empty, don't you? Like I was really low last night, and I normally write a blog on my YouTube post called Hot Stuff. And it's normally a gamey reflection. I just didn't have it in me yesterday. I felt like my soul had been sucked out of me. Was it 0-0? I thought it was 1-1. Okay, right. Fine. Okay, so then Arsenal should have been winning that game too. But I came home last night and I was just sitting there and I was just like, oh man. Yeah. Just depressed, really. I drank a bottle of Malbec, mate. It's not really sustainable either, so I'm going to be trying to put a stop to that. But it's just you just feel so disappointed, don't you? Before I move on to the next comment, there are 4 people currently in the stream. That's amazing for me. That's amazing numbers for me. So thank you so much. If you are here, please like, and if you're new, please subscribe. That'd be amazing. Or I scared the full fun away. But yeah, it's just depressing, isn't it? You just feel it's exhausting. It's exhausting because you know what you're going to get because Arsenal haven't won. And I don't even think they bottled that game. I think they bottled it, like my guy here is saying. I think we bottled it against Wolves, and I think we bottled it against Brentford. And now the poor form, even though we were better yesterday, that poor form from the past 2 months is now catching us up, despite being quite good yesterday. And I think that's a reasonable analysis, You also should have beaten us in the 0-0 game when we only had Wirtz as our only attacker. Yeah, no, Liverpool at home was embarrassing too, mate. We should have been beating you. Although you had a good derby result yesterday, Virgil van Dijk coming up trumps. Fair play to you in the Merseyside derby. But we should have been doing better in that game. That was another snooze fest, wasn't it? It was just another snooze fest, and that's disappointing. If Arsenal do throw league away, it's because of them Wolves. This is exactly what I'm saying. And actually, this is what hurts the most, right? Here's some good numbers for you. I do like numbers, and there's a lot of people who don't like looking at stats and stuff like that, and that's fair. A lot of people prefer the eye test. Arsenal lost 4 games last season. Arsenal lost 4 games the season before that, and Arsenal have lost 5 this season. So it tells you 2 things, right? If Arsenal don't win the league, there's your answer. For a start, 5 league losses, and I think Man City may have lost 5 as well, and so it just shows that the quality overall has been pretty poor this year, and there's been no one that's really taken the ball by the horns, and it shows. I mean, I don't buy into this whole mantra that if Arsenal do win the league, that they'll be the worst Premier League champions ever. Like, I don't buy into that nonsense, right? But with the 2 teams in the top 2, right, both losing 5 games. I mean, come on, that's pretty poor. And Brentford too. I forgot about that. No, I didn't. I finally had some joy. Love getting one over rivals. I did over celebrate. Listen, mate, if you're scoring in the 95th minute and Virgil van Dijk as well, and look, I'm not the type of person that I'm not big on Virgil van Dijk. I'm not big on the conversation of him being one of the best central defending pairing of Premier League era. Like, for me, he doesn't make that top cut of the top 3 or 4 central defenders in the Premier League ever. However, there is a romanticism to him scoring that goal yesterday, and the romanticism is that he got absolutely clattered and it had his season ended by Pickford a couple of seasons back. So be able to score a winner in the Merseyside derby, I think, is kind of like bringing, as his career winds down, it kind of brings his kind of Liverpool story a little bit more to a nicer close, I guess, because he's kind of done the leagues, he's done the Champions Leagues, he's won the other cups as well, and he gets to get one over Everton after having a horrific injury that cost him some of his pace. So I think it's quite a nice little story for Virgil van Dijk, despite not really caring for Liverpool that much, if I'm being honest, Chris. I've got that annoying brother-in-law, don't forget. Draws that kill you, yeah, and the draws killed us, 100%. 100% killed us. Whoever wins the league deserves it. It's that simple with any trophy. All this worst champions is nonsense and business. Yeah, I agree. I don't buy into it. But I do think that it would be a fair observation that it's not been the best Premier League ever. And, Arsenal losing 5 league games, having only lost 4 the year before that and the year before that, I think, kind of demonstrates that a little bit. But I think anyone else is just sour grapes, I completely agree, mate. Virgil van Dijk, nowhere near the greatest Premier League centre backs for me either. He's been class for us, but I am very honest. Yeah, I mean, he's probably been your best centre back of the Premier League era, and I think that's fair. So, like, he's a legend for Liverpool, and he will be a Premier League legend. I just don't think he would make the Premier League 11. I think it would be very hard to displace John Terry and Tony Adams. I'm just kidding. John Terry and Rio Ferdinand, obviously. Right, I think it'd be very hard to displace those two as the best Premier League centre backs. I think it's a very difficult job. But yeah, we both lost to Manchester team, and the worst thing, we played rubbish and deserved to lose. Are you talking about United? Because I don't think we played rubbish against Man City yesterday. I don't think we were rubbish yesterday, but we were definitely poor against Man United when they came to our own yard and beat us. That was humbling. And we gave them 2 goals as well in that game, by the way. I can't remember what you guys got. You got beaten. I mean, the thing is with your lot, Brian, your lot pissed me off last week, man. I was more pissed off about your Oh, sorry, you lost to both, man. Right, okay, sorry. I understand what you're saying now. My apologies. Right, okay. I thought you were talking about Arsenal. But you guys pissed me off last week, man. I can't lie, yeah. But it's always the loudest fans that do the fans the least justice, So you guys didn't play well last week, and you were deserving losers, right? But the narrative, and it's the loudest ones, and it's the ones with the biggest clout. But like Rory Jennings was on the internet and saying that he wanted Chelsea to lose so that Man City could go on and win the title. I'm sorry, but if you hate, right, if you hate Arsenal more than you love your own club, you're a bellend, mate. And Rory was on YouTube after that saying things like, we've handed Man City the league, or we destroyed Arsenal's title hopes. And I was like, Rory, no one expected you to get a result against Man City. You've been awful. Like, you didn't lose you didn't do Man City a favour by losing on purpose. You didn't throw the game. You were battered. Like, you were rubbish. And then this week he had the nerve yesterday to post a video or a picture of Mount kind of like humbling the Chelsea fans, and he's calling him a traitor. Sorry, there is nothing more treacherous, right, than willing your team to lose, which is what he did the week before. I don't understand. I cannot get how Rory has a place in football. Like, he's up there with, like, I mean, he's a TalkSport fodder, isn't he? Yeah, but he's up there with the Goldsteins. He's up with the O'Hara. Like, that's triggered me worse than fucking losing to Man City yesterday. You know, like, and I know that it's only a portion of it's like any fan base, right? But it's the small portion that's the loud portion, and it's the loud portion that makes you cringe the most. We had it last season by the media saying we weren't good champions. No, you had some fortunate decisions, but you blew everyone away. You blew everyone away. Just us, yeah. I'm tired of having the same conversation every May. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, but guess we won't. We won nada. No, we haven't won anything, and it's unlikely that we will. But like I said to you before, mate, I don't think they'll sack him. I don't think they'll sack him. I think the only way he's not managing next season is if he walks. He wanted Chelsea to lose, and now they're 7 points off top 5 after our win. I know, it's embarrassing, mate. Listen, Chelsea, Rory, right? But there were so many Chelsea fans that were willing to destabilise their season and their chances. And this is the bigger thing, right? They were happy to destabilise their season, right? And now they're at risk of not making Champions League football, right? However, Chelsea financially are in big trouble because they are going to be unable to balance those books, especially with all the spending. Like, they are going to be in so much trouble if they don't make Champions League. And the irony is, if they do make Champions League, it's probably because the likes of Arsenal and Liverpool have done them a favour by going reasonably deep in the Champions League so that we got the extra space. Like, it's wild to me how much trouble financially Chelsea will be in if they don't make Champions League football. It could be really bad for them. No one should ever want their team to lose, and yet we see it. It's wild to me. It's wild to me. Like, I would, even if I was the most aggressive Arteta outer, right? And I'm not. I would never be like, oh yeah, do you know, it'd be great if we can lose this game so that Arteta can get out. Get out of here, mate. Like, get in the bin. Like, that's just ridiculous. I don't understand it. I wanted to beat Man City. But this is it, Brian. This is like basic fandom. You want your team to win every game. Do you know what? Right? It's funny. People were saying to me, I think it must have been the year we were in the Europa League final, and I think Spurs were in the Champions League final. Was that the same year? I can't remember. But people were saying to me, would you take not winning this cup if it meant Spurs don't win the Champions League? And I was like, no. Like, give a fuck. It will be annoying if Spurs win the Champions League. It will be really annoying if Spurs win the Champions League. But I'm not turning down any trophy that comes my way. Like, that's crazy. It's crazy. Atletico games are a nightmare games to have during a run-in with their antics. Yeah, that's going to be rough. I think there might be a little bit of mind games there because Arsenal did spank them a little bit, but it's going to be horrible to play them away. It's going to be horrible. The only hope I have actually now is that if they can set up like they did yesterday, I think they will. Arsenal, this is. I think they will really struggle to beat us because I think that we'll be too strong for them with that setup. I don't think we would beat either Bayern Munich or PSG in the final, but I would believe it. You know, if we make the final, I'm believing that we can do it, and then I'll come in and like I did today, and I'll eat my humble pie. But I do think that we would be really challenging for them if we have the setup that we used yesterday, and we apply it the way we did yesterday. I think we would beat them. Thank you, Guna Rican. If they don't sack him, I'm going to just follow Sevilla next season. Arsenal will be on the periphery. Don't be like that. Don't be that guy. You're a better fan than that. Don't do that, Guna Rican. Your whole setup is Guna. All right? Don't be that guy. I won't stand for it. I can't stand the Lego man at this point, but I never want Arsenal to lose. See, there you are. I knew you were there in there somewhere. And you know, like it's and to be fair, even having listened to you quite a bit, listened to Dark Side, and even listening to Shane quite a lot as well. You know, you're all off pretty much the similar opinions. You don't want him to be manager, but you can also acknowledge, maybe less Dark Side, but you can all kind of acknowledge that if you say he were to get a league over the title, over the line, and I know that it's unlikely now, you know, it would be very difficult to then expect him to walk. And I think that's reasonable. I think it's fair to have opinions, but also to then look at it and go, well, there's also this. When I saw Gapco playing well for us yesterday, I knew it was a strange day. Yet, do you know what? I did notice that. I did notice that. I thought to myself, "God, Gakpo's running in there." Liverpool v Spurs. Yeah, it was that same year. And people were saying to me, you know, would you take not winning it if Spurs didn't win the Champions League? I'm sorry, that's just crackhead behaviour. Like, it would be so annoying if they had a Champions League. It would be so annoying, and they would still be living off that. They'd be eating out on that, wouldn't they? But I'm not going. I wouldn't. I was never looking at the Europa League final thinking, well, you know, at least if we lose, Spurs might lose. Get the fuck out of here and get in the bin. Like, that is, I am not on that. I am not on that level, mate. I'm just not there, and I would never be there. But Brian, you're here. What are your thoughts? You know more about your club than I do, obviously. And are you concerned about if Chelsea don't make Champions League football? That would be interesting. And Chris, while you're here, do you think that Slot will go at the end of the season? I don't think Arteta goes. I really don't. I don't think he goes at the end of the season. But it'll be interesting to see your thoughts on what your clubs might look like next season as well. I think our next game is against Newcastle. We haven't got anything midweek. Man City could be on equal, or will very likely be on equal points with us by Wednesday when they beat Burnley very comfortably, and that will help their goal difference as well. So we have to beat Newcastle at home, and Newcastle are in pretty poor form, and I would be expecting us to beat them based on yesterday's performance, despite losing, because I think we were pretty good. But I think Liverpool have lost. I think Newcastle have lost 4 of the last 5. So I would be expecting us to beat them and beating them, you know, quite comfortably at home as well. So, you know, that's my thoughts on that. But I think 45 minutes is a pretty good run today. I don't think I've missed anything. I did notice that Arsenal were allowed to wear black straps on their arms for Meninga yesterday, and hopefully when they are at home against Newcastle on the weekend, they will, you know, do something a little bit more special, maybe a tifo or something like that. I think it's the right thing to do. And yeah, I think we will wrap it up there, guys. I appreciate it being here. Thank you so much. It's, you know, I yesterday, I don't know how I got into the 80s for subscribers, which is incredible. I'm so close to 100 now, and you guys are showing up every day, and I know that you guys are showing up every day. I can see you every day, and I appreciate it. And the watchbacks are pretty good as well, to be fair. But just thank you, and me too. Me too, Chris. If we don't make you, yeah, I don't care as long as Blue Co leave. Okay, so yours is more sort of centered towards your ownership. Okay, well, that's fair as well. But like I said, I appreciate you guys being here. It keeps me pumped, it keeps me going, and it makes me feel good that you guys are showing up. So thank you so much. And yeah, please do keep coming, because I enjoy what I'm doing, and it's good chatting to you guys every morning for our boring brew. It's nearly it's 10:10. The next, I don't know how to like link things in here yet, but that, you know, Shane, if you're done with your coffee, go and see Shane for your full Irish. All right. Anyway, guys, have a good one, and I will see you tomorrow.